Good evening, everybody. Welcome. Dr. Rao here. Thanks for joining me. I was looking for people, what we call, uh, on the path of seeking the truth for themselves, right? But many people have perspective about it, and they may not be looking for the same perspective or different ways to the truth. That is what I call the different perspectives about the same thing. But but then people who are conditioned in certain way, they want to find people who agree with them, who are thinking like them, and who approve that thinking. So confined to uh, both are confined to really the mind and also the thought, right? But if you really want to seek the truth, you got to see where you are. And it's not for somebody else to judge, but it is how you go about the quality of uh, your search for the truth, right? If you start with I don't know anything, I just want to really explore, you know, by starting with the point, I don't know. Let me explore, right? So I remember people like J. Krishnamurti, who invited people to come and explore with him. You know, what did he mean was, don't agree with me, or don't buy anything that I'm saying, but inquire, go deeper into the any aspect of life, and don't listen to all the books and lectures and everything. Your own inner quest. Can you embark on that without any preconceived notions, concepts, theories, philosophies, uh, religious thought, or any of those? Okay, that was quite a challenge, to be starting from I don't know, because the moment you open up your quest, immediately so many things you heard over the internet or read some book or listened to somebody, all those things come. You know, how can you really understand you're already conditioned in a certain way, in a certain mind, and you want people who are like that, and you want to seek them and really stop your search and just agree with somebody and be comfortable. And you both are supporting each other and then not going anywhere near the truth because you are not on the path to your own inner self. Nobody can tell you this is your truth or this is what you follow. Okay? But you have to discover, starting from the point of no nothing. Okay, this is really starting like I don't know. That's why I'm going to find out. This is kind of opens up the quest and search for the truth, and then different perspectives come. Different people think differently, and they may want to identify with people who are thinking like them. For example, if you go to India and then you go to some temples, and they already have some idea about what this temple is, what it represents, what it has gods and all that. If you don't believe in the sculptures that they consider as a god, and then they are kind of prostrating and all that, For you, it may be completely different. Versus somebody who grew with those things embedded in them and they firmly believe them, and they come in, they say, "Yeah, this is really important. I believe it, and I'm going to really, believe in that. And then my life is to dedicate to that divinity, whatever, right?" Uh, so you cannot go to them and say, "What are you doing this? This is no, do not make any sense." It is his truth, his belief, and he's going to do that. I come to America, I see Christians having so many churches, so many different practices. So I wondered, how is this different from what I saw in India? So many varieties. So everybody has their own things, right? So I'm not belittling anybody. What I'm saying is examples of really discarding all the outward practices and going inward, going towards the truth. You want to discover it, you got to go inward and discover it. Otherwise, everything physical, what you see, is the only thing that you want to believe. Then you are not going beyond the physical limitations or even the thought limitations, right? Remember, Socrates said, "The only thing I know is that I don't know." Ancient Indians also said, um, Sunyam. That means nothing is there, and I'll go from there. You know, and they kind of said, uh, "I don't know." That is, I am ignorant. I don't have the knowledge about this. Maybe hearsay, somebody else is claiming something, but by myself, I don't know. So let me explore into my recesses of mind, recesses of heart, what's going on there, why I'm feeling certain way, what is the truth of the human life, and what is the truth of the world, and what is the truth of the other human being, and all that. Okay, out of that kind of inner quest for the truth within each human being, some people went really meditatively aware and then communicated with the silence of the universe and discovered a lot of answers, and they proposed all of that too. But the one thing is, there is a state of silence. That's a fact. You can discover it for yourself. When you are not talking, you deliberately want to quiet yourself and don't urge to talk, and you have that silence within, you can start there. That is the zero. That is no conclusions, no concept, no theory, nothing, right? And then you start, okay, I can close my eyes, I can see what's going on. Okay. So this may be very esoteric subject, but actually, what are we doing? We kind of plan according to a concept somebody has taught us, or they discovered it and we were not able to discover up until the time, and then we kind of accepted it as a fact because we could also see that. So that is the perspectives also, when people said earth is round, that is a new thing, right? But when it is up until then, everybody accepted that earth is a flat thing, and we are just unaware of the roundedness of the earth, or it is going around and all that. Even now, you see what we say, sun is rising and sun is setting. But in reality, sun is not going anywhere. He's there, and we are the one who is rotating and rounding with him. That's what happens, right? Earth rotates itself, and it is on itself, and then rotates around the sun, right? So where is the perspective? Where is the like-mindedness? Where is the the fact? Everybody thinks, oh, sun is rising. Yeah, everybody thinks sun is setting. I hope you are getting the point I'm making. Can you calm your mind completely and start with what you know, what you don't know, or what is your senses are conveying, and what is it beyond senses you are perceiving. If you can go into that, then you will see the limitation of our minds, our thoughts, our theories, our philosophies. They're all not really are not ours, right? Anything. So we're just repeating them and we're trying to adapt them so that it suit our life. Why that kind of perspective or broad uh, acceptance of experiential knowledge is important is there are so many people who want to really influence us, who wants to spread propaganda and make people feel like that is what if we follow we go to the truth. I'm not talking about regular life and eating sleeping and I'm not talking about, I'm talking about something beyond the senses, beyond the limitations of our thought, beyond our conditioned thought. I'm not talking about can you discard and stay with what is in front of you and explore that. Okay, and then the mind takes the leaps that is otherwise it is limited by its own condition, right? And it cannot break those chains and it will only circle in that. That is the like-mindedness people are comfortable about is I am thinking like this is the correct way to think in our country in all this, and that's why I'm going to accept people who are thinking like me, and I'm going to really comfortable in that presence. Then you have no chance of breakthrough to scientific truths have come out because somebody accepted and said this is the way it is, I'm not going to explore. No, some brains have explored deep into what is this? How can this be understood? How can this be explained? How can this be really adapted for our own mastering elements, mastering our nature, and all that? That's one of the things very much I'm inspired about is how uh, Western science has tried to master the elements, master the nature. We are not able to do somewhat, we are still able to do something. Look at the other day, they kind of used a some of the rocks are coming towards us and they just said oh, we're going to go and break that down and then divert it, and they did. Otherwise it would have been a landing in some part of the earth and maybe the damage would have happened. I don't know whether it would have extinguished the us because that's not that big like it did with dinosaurs, right? But that did not do so. Look at the science. Look at how they can do. Look at Elon Musk's rocket yesterday. It was fired and then the base has come back to and land itself nicely within the standing. Right? That was amazing to see. That kind of thing. Other people must have thought about, worked about, and all that. I mean, there are brains who do that, then we can adopt it and we take it for granted, right? But if you look at it, we may have thought that was impossible to do, but how did it make it happen? So, adopting this constant struggle to find the truth is the hallmark of science, right? We don't even in my own medical career, when I started, theories were certain way, and then they were changed as we discovered. For example, insulin had this pig and beef elements. People had those antibodies, right? And then they gave this insulin that is made of beef and pork, and we have to do like hundreds of units, not like a few units like now we do, but it was hundreds of units they wanted to do. I was giving actually, all of us are giving as medical professions in 1980s. And the Roche company, the medical company, drug company, it has come out to recombinant DNA. of the insulin, and they have done from the human DNA. So because it is our DNA, we didn't have that kind of resistance with the beef and pork, right? So we were able to cut down the dosage of the insulin, and also the efficacy of industry has really gone up. Laser, like that, all this, so many findings I see that have come now. Now look at the genome, how wonderful we are doing things, right? So what I'm saying is, keeping the mind open and recognizing our mind is open is a rare thing. I'm not saying any accusation is there, but a fact, right? So if you are indulge in discussions or arguments, or just vehemently trying to convince other people, or being violent, some people are violent too, right? On the TV, on the discussions and all that, then go and look at, am I speaking something that is true, which I realized, or am I just repeating stuff that I have overheard and I took it for granted, or I was influenced with the propaganda, I was made to accept these things because I'm unaware, or I am kind of feel like I'm not good enough to think all these things, so let us follow people who are much smarter. And that's how exploitation happens. Okay, through religious, through political, through philosophical, they fill your mind so much, your mind cannot really seek the truth and dump all that. So you start with it. Suppose I say meditation is this way. How do I know? How can I say that it is? Okay. But if I start, I don't know what is meditation. Let me find out with my own investigation into that. Why do I need meditation? What is the meditation? Maybe people have talked about a lot and all that, but then I'm going to start with no burden of anybody else's theory or anybody else's conclusions or anybody else's experience, but I want to experience myself. How can I really understand meditation? How can I see my thoughts can be slowed down? How can I go to that state where I can be silent without thinking anything? If you dump all that burden of previous knowledge, you have started from the zero, right? But immediately, all that we read, all that we heard, all that we practiced, everything comes into place, and then we want to tell other people, do this way. That's what we are all doing, right? But if you can dump all that knowledge because you want to find out it for yourself, and that is the most authentic thing. But your mind can run so many things you have done, you have read, seen, listened to, whatever, right? So see how difficult it is. A simple thing like that, you will go. But if you really look at it, you can be calm in your mind and don't want to think anything, just to be calm and just to be in touch with the calmness around you in your body and your mind. You may come upon that calmness by yourself, but you want to do some things to really get your thought controlled, right? But if you are not, you are just, you know, being calm, quiet, be quiet, and then you will discover that calmness, the silence, where there are no thoughts, no feelings, nothing, and just a serene calmness that is there for us to take. But we have so many layers we built around that. So we have to understand and get rid of that conditioning by exploring whether it is truth or not. But you don't even spend it 1 minute to say, am I thinking straight? Am I doing it on my own, or am I just following somebody else's experience or direction? You don't have your own experience. It's like kind of you imagine somebody else's directions and do that. Outside matters of science and technology and all that, yeah, We can follow the best practices. We can follow, so, okay, somebody laying a road on my block. I have seen in Europe and China, they are laying the roads much faster, so the technology, right? And we eventually adopt that best practices and do the things for us, so that our time, energy, and money, everything is saved, right? So I'm not talking about outward scientific objectivity and more like you can see the commonsensically what is right, what is not right. Sometimes we may adopt a process, but when we see some other person is doing it differently, we try to study, we try to adapt. That's how we improvise best practices, right? I'm not talking about outward. Even then, a lot of ways you have to begin to question. Otherwise, you will never be discarding your ineffective ways to learn effective ways from other people, right? But I'm talking about a human being who is capable of studying his own mind, his own thoughts, his own conclusions, you know. And most of the people become really second hand because somebody else is thinking certain way. I want to copy that. I want to know that, and that means I have no independent exploration, but just a cheap copying. You know, inner matters are really copying is it becomes limited person. But if you say, let me find out, let me start with I don't know anything, let me sit on it, let me explore it, and the thing is, the more you think, the more you limit yourself to the thought. But the more you explore the end of the thought and what is beyond thought, then true channels of truth open up, and then you don't come with the. See, how did Einstein come with the relativity theory? A spark of inspiration and a sudden lightning of what is out there, but we cannot see the relativity, time relativity, everything even before that. Only after he discovered it in a state of trance and silence. And you ask anybody, scientists, when they had this eureka movement, that is correct, right? Eureka, when he was running all this, that eureka, he discovered it. He discovered it. He did not invent it. He did not prepare it. He discovered something is already there. If his mind was occupied with his own theories and conclusions and trainings and whatever, uh, he may not have had that spark of suddenly. Even in our own life, see, suppose we are working some problem. I had this in mathematics and some of the tactical studies and all that. I couldn't figure out something for a long time. And then I left it and went to for a walk. And then during the walk or after the walk, suddenly it came to me. So that is something universal energy that will come to you when you are not really, thinking about the same thing you have and don't want to unleash your own intellect or your own intelligence from that chains of conditioning. Okay, so many people are conditioned in so many ways. It's not their fault. It is the structure of the society. It the not being aware of it and being afraid of being free of that, because my life has to go smoothly. I have to eat properly. I have to be, experiencing pleasures, and all. Those limitations are there. But the only few people really, Nicholas Tesla, for example, right? He was very metaphysical. How did he say that we can produce electricity for nothing? No money is involved. He wanted to make the earth as the conductor of the electricity so that anybody can get it free. That was his intention. But then, commercial forces were acting even then. And one of the biggest commercial force at the time was Edison, right? He was an inventor, but he was also somebody is guilty of promoted all this commercialism, consumerism, Versus Tesla didn't care about them. He died a very poor man and a very lone man and all that. But his understanding of the energy really helped us to get off one block to light at the same time. The situation at the time was electricity was there from Edison, but you need to have so many generators, so many things for each house. So much has to be done. From that, direct current to indirect current and all that, he kind of invented whereby the whole city can be lit up very easily. And that was Tesla's invention, right? Discovery. And then he used to stare at uh, the lightning. We will get scared and we say, oh, my eyes will go on. But he was staring at it. You know, what was that? How did you do that? How did you understand the natural forces? So he did not read anything anywhere. He discovered it through his intelligence and breakthrough of the set patterns of thought. Okay, so look at yourself. You whatever you think, is that original, or is that a pattern that you adopted from somebody else? And then thought that is liberated from propaganda, from people saying that this is the way it is and you have to follow, that is really changed by the conditioning. you know and many people are conditioned through and through. That's why, unless you agree with me, unless you think like me, I'm not going to accept you. I get that quite a lot. They say I don't understand. That's not it. They want me to tell them what they are thinking and agree with them. If it is truth, yeah, I will agree. But if it is a propaganda, if it's something like a lot of issues we face here, even though I lived here from 81, they still think I am Indian, I only belong to India, and I'm foreigner in that sense. What is that? It's like a conditioned thinking, right? But I don't have the division in my heart, so I accept anybody easily. But they cannot do that for their life because they are victims of their condition. That is racism is all about, right? You are looking somebody different than you, not like-mindedness. That's why you have to accept my whatever I tell you. Otherwise, I don't accept you. I don't consider you equal, or I consider you inferior compared to me. Even that, I look at all this more like a with sympathy, with kindness, because they may be weak. They may not know what they are thinking, what they are doing, and my value doesn't stay in how they view me. My value stays in, am I being truthful? Am I being kind, compassionate? How am I projecting? That's all. Okay, what is in me? What is that I want? Do I want something, or do I want to? That's why Nikolai Tesla, I really admire him, because he worked like that, unselfish. He never wanted money and all that. I think Westinghouse was supposed to, they had some problems and all that. They wanted him to sign something, and signed and gave them away. If he had kept some of it at least, he would have been a multi-billionaire, even in his own lifetime. But did not matter to him. What mattered to him was, how can I invent things that can be useful to the humanity and that can come free? Go and read his biography, you will see that. And also his mind took leap out of conditioned mind to original mind, discovering things and figuring out needs. Really, so he's a really admirable character. So he kind of gave it away, a lot of stuff, his contracts and all that. You can read his biography; it will be there. Okay, or you can see the YouTube documentaries. Very fascinating personality, and he almost got the Earth working as a conductor, and so that if I want some electricity, I can go and put a pole in my backyard, and that will give me all the electricity that I want. Then we would not have this fossil fuel too. Then we would have had no threat to the earth like we are experiencing now. I don't know, this is after the fact, but they really truth, that really happened, that it would have been reversed. But we are not smart enough at the time to really realize that, encourage him, and then get that thing done. Okay. So there are so many things like that. The people with money or people with political power did not allow electrical vehicle to come on even 50s, 60s also, right? There was a Tucker. You might have seen that movie. Tucker really wanted to do that, and then he was almost successful to invent very good cars, but then it did not see the light. So don't be limited by perspectives that are limited, are built on your limited concepts and philosophies and theories, and don't be limited by thinking. That is the uh, glaring example of how we can make ourselves limited human beings by confining to thoughts that we learned or we are getting from the senses or from the other inputs, never questioning it, never doubting it, never asking, is this thought, where does it come from? What is the basis of it? Am I seeing things differently, or am I fed things differently, or I'm lazy enough not to investigate whether good or not? Okay. Whatever suits me, whatever helps me at the time, that's it. And then whoever talking like me and then reinforcing my false beliefs, that is like-mindedness. And then they want people who are like-minded me, but the mind is limited to the thoughts, and thoughts are fleeting, they change, right? How many thoughts you see them changing, right? From morning till evening, how many thoughts you change? So thoughts are fleeting, temporary, and changing all the time. So, and then you kind of conclude so many things with a thought, oh, my brain has consciousness that is producing. How can an inert substance can produce something like consciousness, like, life, like Tejas, that is violet light? So the biggest question now going on in scientists who are studying consciousness, and they say hard problem of consciousness is to really find out what is that is stimulating the matter or lifeless thing come to life, come to be awake and aware. Okay, that is the hard problem of consciousness. They cannot really make these machines, even the AI, that are having consciousness, subjective consciousness. There's a big debate going on, and so it is kind of happening like that. Okay, so okay, so as I was saying, if you confine yourselves to the theories, and then you're kind of lose yourself in those, network of thought, in those conclusions. Anyway, have an open mind. Start with not knowing anything and question that. Okay. And who are the really stunted people? Are the people who think intellect is the paramount. I look at intelligence beyond your intellect, beyond your sensory perception, beyond your conditioned thought or trainings and whatever. Like I said, physical things, external things, science, and also learn lessons and best practices, they're all needed for us. The scientist who has really went through that had really a spark of intelligence where he was able to look at something that is the truth. And also he did not say this is the end of it. Medicine, for example, we continuous medical education is because there are scientific research going on. Maybe people like us may be scientists to begin with, but then we ended up being utilitarian of the sciences so that we can use the lessons to treat our patients. That's also fine. But then we never lose the spirit of really inquiring what is the truth, what is the scientific truth. So if I had not opened like that, we would have had the molecular metabolism that we are doing it now. We would not have genomic science that we have now. And we're going to see much more down the line. If I don't keep a mind that is open, I will be really rotting in what I understood in 60s and 70s when I went to medical school. 70s, I went to medical school, and 72, 73, I think I joined it, and we lost 1 year because of the political unrest and all that. But then we have 5 year course. We did that, and then we had an internship and all that. By 1980, I completed all formalities to be a doctor. I was 23, I think, at that time. So what it is we never say this is it. Then we will never be able to discover anything. But when it comes to our inner self, psychological self, and all that, many of the psychology things are not working. Why? Why are they not working? Why is that mental health is not improving? Why is that many therapists and all that what they do is not working? Even the companies complain. These people are going and taking the therapists hours and hours, spending a lot of companies' money, and they are mad. They are mad and say, "What are you doing? You keep on keeping them couching." And then talking to them in the couch, and then really don't improve. Look at the rate of anxiety. Look at the rate of neurosis. Look at the rate of depression. It's not that I am inventing something. You can look at the facts, how they are going up, how their young children are committing suicide. Doctors are committing suicide. Why? Why the psychology is not able to solve it? Because you want to build up your psychology based on somebody else's thought. If you look at all the psychology, science, and all that, it is built on somebody else's thought, like a Freud, like a Carl Jung, and all that. But the ancient are not on thought; they are beyond thought in that intelligence. Scientists will go that way; they won't accept these theories. But the psychologists, they want you to accept these theories of what the human being is, how it is, and they label you a DSM classification label, and then you are supposed to take it bowing down. I don't reject all that. Okay, so it's a limited science, limited because of the thought, limited because somebody else projected it, and then everybody is following. It doesn't work, right? And that's why our mental health is very high, because you are not able to break through your thoughts. That's why you are looking for like-mindedness. Your thought is limited, you want to find somebody who is limited also. Okay, and then just because you're supporting each other, you may feel temporarily happy, but the person who is liberated, who is independent, don't give a damn about that. He doesn't want any approval. He doesn't want any yeah, really saying that, oh, you're good, great, and all. He doesn't care. He is psychologically independent. So the lifestyles and all that don't make a difference for him. So he'll be living independently in freedom, and really enjoying the life, because he can associate with the good things of life, the nature, the people, the work you can do, the service you can provide. You can enjoy all that if you are not limited by your own thoughts. And it's like this. Suppose you are in the boat, and they tell this story. There are three drunks, and they drank so much they have to come by boat. So when they come, they kind of rowed and came, and then put the boat to the anchored, and then they went in, and they drank so much they could not even stand properly, and then they kind of reeling and falling, and somehow they made to the boat, and they sat down, and they began to row. They rowed all night. In the morning, they saw in the light, they did not remove the anchor, and they were stuck to the anchor because they were rowing all night. Boat is not going anywhere. That is the limitation of thought. That is the attachment to thought. That is the passion about things, but not really liberating yourself from inside out. You are stuck where you are. You know, generations are stuck. And then people came and discovered something because they went beyond the thought to the intelligence. They discovered that. When they discovered, our intelligence can see it, but not before, because we are slaves to our thought, our way of thinking. This is the like-mindedness. This is the perspective I'm going to stay, and then say everybody, oh, yeah, right. If you like America, what it does, it kind of controls with sheer violence, right? It could be thought violence. It could, but then what it has the policies within itself, it wants to invite everybody and invite all the talent and nurture them, provide them. That is the attraction of America, right? But then, are they living up to their noble principles? No. What is convenient for them, whichever politician comes, he can change all that. Look at the liberties taken away for the women. What was that, right? So, as long as you are confined to the limited, not only thoughts only, but the thinking itself is limited. As long as you are there, you are not going to go and explore the truth. You don't have the courage, you don't have the strength, you don't have the energy and intelligence to really turn towards the truth. Be still and then discover the universal forces that are there, help us and all that. See, none of the scientific research would have possible if everybody thought whatever I know, that is the only thing. Okay, even Indian sciences, Indian subjective science, I call them. That's the ancient wisdom. Somebody asked me the other day, why do you have to read these things? I know everything by myself. Very good. If you know everything by yourself, don't tell me all the theories. Are you free? Are you silent? Are you able to use that intelligence? Or you are repeating your patterns of thought and trying to make a trade out of it and make money? Okay, so if you are free by yourself, that's extraordinary. And I have known sages who are extraordinary, like Ramana Maharshi. He got everything by himself. He did not read anything. But then later on, when he was told by other people these books, he said, "Yeah, that's the way I experienced it." So it's all his experiential knowledge that he was. He also never cared to spread it around. Only people interested in him, they came and talked to him. Okay? Because in his presence, people are getting completely silent mind. So they wanted to understand how is he doing, what is he doing, is he doing some magic or something, you know? But he kind of showed them how you can be silent and then explore a lot of things. You know, so many avenues open up in you if you are silent. First of all, tell me one person come and tell me how often you get silent, how you make it as the fundamental reality, and then this movement of thought with all the chatter and all that is like a, you know, a product of the silence, and that means you're basically silent all the time. And then when you want to use the thought, your mind is active and you are talking about it. Okay, so I hope I conveyed what I'm trying to say here. You know, all it says is be silent. Don't be sold by whatever comes from the senses, from the accumulated knowledge and all that. It will stunt your intelligence to explore. So, exploring intelligence by ourselves means we start with we don't know. Even Socrates had told us, all I know is that I don't know. He's an extraordinary um, use of the thought, and the way he kind of changed people to think for themselves, think originally, and also really come up with the truths by their own experiential knowledge. That is what the ancient, which I am familiar with, ancient knowledge of India, China, Japan, Egypt. So many examples are there where even now, if you go, what do they value highest? They value highest the liberation from this chattering mind. They call it mukti in India, or nirvana, Buddhist. or uh, Japanese call it more like a silence, I think. So the different people call it different names, but the same truth. Is that something I can tell you the theory and you can get it, or you want to find out yourself? First, whatever thought comes to you, say, no, I'm not listening to you. I'm not listening to you. But that's a way that Nagarjuna is a very famous Buddhist scholar. And he said, Neti, Neti. Whatever comes, he say, no, this is it. This is not it. This is not it. This is not it. That's how the layers of our condition is removed when you see the pristine truth by your own intelligence. Not thinking, not your conclusions, not your philosophies, not your religious whatever propaganda, not that. Even psychological propaganda. eh, I consider all the psychological measures now happening are not helping my burnout people, the doctors who come to me, and they have gone through that, but then they didn't. One of the doctors I was talking about yesterday, how she committed suicide, even though she was a brilliant doctor, she had excellent record, but she could not calm her mind. She could not feel like I am not really doing my job. I'm not able to save all these COVID patients, and they killed herself in the middle of the COVID because the more so many people are coming, and she was not able to help any of them. So that's a limitation. It's a novel virus that has broken, and we were stupid enough to let it to spread out of the origin. And then we kind of had this people saying, "Oh, it will come and go," okay? And you want to listen to those stupids because they are don't know what they are doing. They don't know. For example, this one of the doctors, she came out and said we could have prevented at least 420,000 deaths just by being aware and by limiting people from coming Europe, limiting them from coming from China and all. We had the means, we know about it. Why didn't we act? Because we are so stupefied by propaganda, right? So being stupid, that's it. That is what we did as a human tribe. I'm not saying only one person. As a human tribe, we know what could be done, but we did not do it, right? This is somebody else's response. Somebody else, nobody really stood up at the time. Doctors were there, and then they tried to recommend. They would not listen, the politicians, because they know better. They know nothing. They're stupids, actually. But they did not listen to the scientific community, which warned it in January itself. But they did not, So anyway, I don't want to get excited about that. Okay. But that's what is happening even now. It's a very tragedy if you look at the amount of suffering in the form of mental health deterioration, in the form of not really joyful in their life, in the form of really ending their valuable human life, and really not looking at beauty of life and experiencing the joy and happiness within. That is what I'm always with the ancient wisdom is because they really showed a way by yourself you can go and then discover the innate happiness, joy, bliss, serene, calm, peacefulness that is there within you. Says the real teacher is one who will not say, I will give it to you. He will say, go this way, I will throw the light on the path, and you got to walk yourself and discover all these things by yourself. That means you got to calm your thought, you got to keep silent and go there and discover. Right? So I get excited about this because the joy of discovering your real self is underrated, is not shown how valuable that is. And that's why people are getting so stressed and burned out and miserable and suffering life. Okay. So I would like to, you know, find that out, and it's up to everybody to explore themselves. Don't stick with this tribalism of like-mindedness. I want to talk like this. I want to do this. We are the same race, so we should be put together. We are one thing. That's all a old-fashioned tribalism. We are all one earth, We're all one human tribe. And if you are entertaining any of those tendencies, you are a tribal. If you say, I have patriotism, you are a tribal. If you say, I have racism, you are tribal. If you say, I'm intellectually superior, that's why everybody has to accept my intellectual contribution, you are tribal. You are limited. You will never be opening up the humanity for the oneness that can bring us all together, the type of joys that we can discover within us, and not needing this dependency that somebody else has to really. Peter is here. Okay, somebody has to approve me. No, that will not be there. So before I get excited too much, let's talk to Peter, my friend. Hi, Peter.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Wonderful. I'm sitting here listening to it. I'm actually looking at YouTube. But it, like everything you're saying is just like, it's just really, I shouldn't say deep because I'm aware of it. But as I'm listening, there's a certain sadness that I'm experiencing because of the greater whole, that tribalism that you just talked about, and about everybody just getting lost. And I think earlier you put something about maybe the internet or technology or social media, and how all this noise is just drowning out. I would submit that it's, I beg your pardon, I would submit that it's drowning out our very life force.
Yeah.
And the deeper we get into that, the more we need more, because you're searching for something, but you're searching for something you'll never find because you're going east and it's west.
Yeah.
You're going in the wrong direction.
Yeah, inward direction is the direction we should go. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just and I know that. So for me, like, we all know this. Everything you're saying, like, we all know, right? Yeah. The real us, we know this, and I think there's parts of us that try to bring us back into that reality. For me, it came in the form of tragedy and addiction and everything else to bring me into the silence. And once I went in, I never wanted to come out. But the reality of life is that, you get caught up in the day-to-day and in this physical world, and just being in that tribalism, on the negative connotation of tribalism.
Can I make a comment there, Peter? Because you brought it up. Because, see, the type of lifestyle we are doing in the West, they are not limiting to themselves. They are exporting around the world.
Yeah.
That's why I'm kind of against that lifestyle. Even though I live in America, I don't have to be not being minimalist. It's my duty to be minimalist to the earth I have. Right? So, but then everybody promoting buy this, buy that, do that, and all that, they are responsible for the earth's deterioration by being unaware of what they are doing.
Right. And it's really, the disease of consumption.
Yeah.
And how they market things, and it starts from at an early age, right? It's just the way everything's marketed.
And then they're being so irresponsible about this in terms of what the damage we are doing. Anyway, go ahead, Peter. I won't interrupt you.
No, not at all. I love it, and I wouldn't go beyond irresponsible.
Yeah.
I think it's deliberate. Irresponsible to me is just like, okay, let's just put it out and see where it falls. We're making some money, and that's it. They're deliberately target marketing certain groups of people, and sometimes larger groups, but specifically to buy what they happen to buy into. The notion that more is better, and it just takes us away from ourselves. So then we get caught up in this, and we can't find any help in the social media rooms, and then we can't find any help in our psychiatrist or psychologist offices, or even 12-step meetings sometimes. And I will say this: if you are seeing a mental health professional, continue to see your mental health professional. Today is not the day. Now is not the time to say, I'm going to get off my depression meds and I'm just going to go do yoga, or I'm just going to go meditate. It doesn't work like that.
It doesn't work. What I'm saying is, when you take a system that's supposed to
Yeah.
help the mental health patients, as a doctor, I feel it is not working. That doesn't mean all you people stop medications and go there. No, look at the validity of it, continue it, you slowly withdraw it when the other things are working for you, when the other things you are doing. See, other therapeutic efforts are there. Unless you take it
Yeah.
up and understand, do them slowly, you will be in trouble. So I don't take my medications off my patients who come for depression and all that, but I teach
Right.
them ways that they may be able to get into that. Some of people
Yeah.
are not able to. But yeah, you very well, good point you pointed out, Peter. Yeah.
I was speaking more towards, I agree with you 100%. I was going to get there, but I was speaking more towards maybe someone who's listening to Dr. Rao this evening
Yeah.
and just wants to try the next thing because what's been going on in our
Don't
lives is
worry,
not
don't
working.
worry. I only talk. Nobody listens to me on this app. I know that
Listen,
because nobody comes really to talk on my talks. I know that nobody sends me DMs that much like other people do. So they have their own like-mindedness people that they want to promote. They don't want to
right.
promote truth. So I know that.
Yes, but I disagree with that, and I'm going to
Yeah.
tell you why.
Yeah.
Because truth cannot be hidden. So whether it's in this now time space reality or on a replay, they will and are listening
Well,
to you.
that's the way I feel because the response I
And
get. So
yeah, yeah, and not everybody's there. Somebody may tune in and say, hey, what's going on? I can't get with this, and they're gone. But there is that person. So when I was talking about that, I was speaking to the person that maybe is jumping from thing to thing, and I've done that, so I know that space in your head where you've tried this, that's not working. I'll try that, that's not working. I'll go to this therapist, that therapist, this AA group across town, and nothing's working.
see, I was
And all
trying
of a
to
sudden,
point out a phenomena that happened in 90s and 2000s early when
yeah,
companies really complained these people are not getting better and they are using the company funds to the extent they were not able to afford it. So as
yeah,
corporate companies, they all come together and say, what is the end point of these therapies? When are they
right,
going to be productive people? Even the burnout way is happening like that. Physicians are not getting out of it, right? Then
right,
they said, okay, we will change everything. We'll say behavioral med. And then what they did, they began to prescribe medications only. But even the wards, Peter, they changed the name from psychiatric ward or psychology ward to behavioral med unit. Even
yeah,
our own hospital, they change it like that. And so they, instead of, several patients came to me because one of my friends is practicing psychiatry and he was
yes,
seeing 42 patients in 1 hour and billing them just because he changed their medication management. So they came and said,
yeah,
you are much cheaper than we are charging only $75 for our visit. They were charging $150. So the people came
yeah.
to us. If it's just the medication they're giving, give us the prescription, we will go with it. This was actually
Right.
happened in our practice. You go ahead, please.
Yeah. No, no, I absolutely believe it. I think we're both saying the same thing.
Yeah.
And I agree, we've had this discussion about the medical system and the different hospital systems
Yeah.
and how it's all basically rigged, right? It's rigged to come back and they want return customers
Yeah.
and it really is the same. By the way,
Make an
Cecilia
edit and
Grace.
then come back. That's what it is.
Yeah, Cecilia Grace just messaged me. She said, Dr. Rao, I am listening. Even if I don't join in, I am listening to you. So
Yeah.
she wanted you to know that.
Yeah, she can listen, but what I'm saying is applicable to the entire society, not any particular individual. You
Yeah.
know, I
Well,
say I
and I
don't
agree
get
with that.
much traction on this app because I don't feel like they are at that intensity that we should be with the things that are going around. So truth,
Yes.
truth seeking also is not group thinking. It's like independently we have to explore these issues. That's all I'm saying.
Right. I know, I understand that. But from soul to soul, from
Mm.
as your brother in this universe, I challenge you to continue to do this work
I do,
because
and I've been doing
and
it
I know
for
no,
five
I know you're
years.
going. I know. Yeah, I know you're going to do it, but you are in this human experience
Yeah,
still a human being, irregardless. And it can be
yeah.
um, discouraging sometimes when you
You
know
know
you
what
have
happens? What
the
happens to
remedy.
me? What happens to me, Peter? I get this inspiration or some kind of understanding. Then I just want to share. and I come and share. That's the only thing. I don't expect everybody to fall in line or nothing. Just to see the people are exploring these things and all. That's all I say. But otherwise, I never look for, and also I don't cling to these experiences. I just dump it, and next time it comes, I come back and talk. So I don't say, "Oh, these people are not coming." I was talking to the same, but one person or 100
Yeah.
people. The same. I never
Right.
have problem. I don't expect anything in return. But what I'm
Yeah.
pointing out is like-mindedness. Same
Right.
people will get so much elevation, but not the real truth. That's my perception.
No, I understand that.
Yeah.
And again, completely agree with you.
Yeah.
But when you're holding the truth,
Yeah.
and you know that the truth can help people, and I've told you just about every time I talk with you, like your very essence is you are a healer.
Yeah.
By your very energetic nature. And you have manifested, that has manifested into a physician, right? Because
that is my duty, I think.
I agree.
Yeah,
I know, I
honestly,
agree
yeah.
with you.
Yeah.
But beyond the titles, beyond the degrees,
Yeah.
you are at your very essence a healer. I know it. I feel it.
Yeah.
And
That's why I even criticize my own clinic too. If they don't do the standard quality job, we always say this is not right. We got to improve ourselves. By tomorrow, don't repeat that again. So that is kind of
yes,
hard for people. But then they see the standard not coming because we want to make money, but
right.
we want to help the people. That's all.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's why, Petra, I told you when I was growing as a child, Gandhi said something like a duty for the sake of duty. I never
Yes.
changed that after I came here to this country also. And that gave me immense happiness when I delivered my duty. And also,
Yeah.
we can revise. We did something not right. We want to go back and improve. That's there too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Please go
No,
ahead.
yeah.
I'm stopping you. Please go ahead. Yes.
No, 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 no.
Yeah.
I completely agree with
Mhm.
everything you're saying.
Yeah.
But from where I said, I'll take it off of you and I'll use me as as an example.
Mhm.
So I know that I have the gift of healing in certain realms. And one of it is someone recovering from compulsive behavior, addictive behavior.
Yeah.
So I can spot it a mile away and I can help people pick up the pieces of their lives
Yeah.
and get back on track.
Yeah.
I have a formula for that.
Yeah.
Because
Sure.
it works.
It works. It
And
works. That's it.
and if it doesn't work, the exception doesn't negate the rule. Just because one person chose to do whatever or go another way or um, decide to go out and have a drink, that doesn't negate that the system or the framework works.
The problem I have there,
hurts.
is not with the healers like you who are genuinely doing it, but what my problem is, the system allows so many forces to make people addictive, and
Yes.
that's where we have to have responsibility. Like I don't drink, I never drink heavily. We used to have a glass of wine when we were doctors going to meetings and all that. But that also did not really agree with me. Now, if I even smell the alcohol, I get dizzy. So the meditation and all those things that I teach, and most of the time I'm silent, Peter. So if I even smell it, really, literally, physically, I feel dizzy. So
That is fascinating that you say that
yeah,
because I have a very similar experience.
yeah,
Just thinking about
yeah,
certain pain medication. I won't say what it is because I don't want to trigger anybody to
yeah,
listening.
yeah.
But I do find myself getting a little bit frustrated, not frustrated with people, but just wanting
Yeah.
them to heal when they don't want to heal themselves. And they keep looking in different areas. And I just have to find myself and say, listen, they will be back if they're back. If not, they will find the help they need somewhere else. But knowing that you have a remedy for someone who's in pain,
Yeah.
and they don't accept it, it's not fun, I should say. But no, I agree with everything you've said because we've had talks about the system and but it's still just that, Dr.
Yeah.
Rao.
But
It's
you know what?
only
I was
the system.
looking back centuries ago, how the systems were, the healers and all that. They did not charge anything, did not take anything in return. That was the actual practice,
Yeah, I understand.
the Vaidyas and all that they were. And then they kind of went in the morning and go to trees and into the forest and then picked up the herbs that are useful for illnesses. They come back. This happened even in 1950s. Even now it is
Yeah,
happening in some of the villages. So what they do is they keep all those herbs next to them, no processing, nothing, but they know how to prepare them, and then they make it at home, or they get to give the powders and all that. And then if the queue of people standing there, and then each one coming, these people give the medication, and then they go and they get better. Another thing is they have this what is called nadi pravina. That means they know how to manipulate that, like more than reiki, but then energy manipulation, right? So they used to take the pulse, and then with their hands they press some points like acupressure, or acupuncture, like no need is, but just with the pressure they corrected their energy within and they make them well. You know what the Britishers did with those people? Because these people have tremendous sway on the people, because they always feel he made me better, he made me survive, and also they're loyal to these Vaidya's. So they thought he's gaining more political power even though he was not doing anything, and they chopped off his hands.
yeah.
So that's the
And that,
actual story. So,
but no, I believe that. But
yeah,
guess what? It's happening
yeah,
today
yes, yes,
because there are people who are coming out in the forefront
yeah,
and gaining an audience and gaining,
yeah,
likes or more folks on social media and are listening to a message of truth.
yeah.
And do you think that pharmaceutical companies want healing
No,
from natural? No,
no,
right? They
yeah.
don't want any of it. Do you think like the medical systems or the MCOs want to hear what Dr. Rao has to say?
No,
No,
no, no.
because
MCOs are
it
causing the
cuts.
problem now. MCO, really.
Yeah, but it cuts into their profits.
Yeah,
But I think also that we've gone through the industrial revolution, we've
yeah,
gone through um, uh, the evolution of distribution, and with Amazon and the invention of the internet. Like now we're going into the age of the mind,
yeah.
or spirit, the real
More like
us, and we're
consciousness. I would
just
say consciousness.
consciousness.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I'm with you on that. So we're going to that consciousness, but it never starts like it just doesn't blow up like that. Like there's just a few people, if you look historically, with any great movement, for lack of a better term, or
Peter,
shift
let me
in
say
humanity.
something here. I think it will be instructive for us. If you look at
Please.
the panoramic view of human tribe, not east or west or anything like that,
Yeah,
ancient versus modern. Okay, I'm talking about the entire map, entire span
right.
of the human existence. If you look at it,
Sure.
there was a period when human beings so evolved that they were able to do the life I'm talking about, like
Yeah,
happy, joy. But now moderns took the turn of two things. One is ego development that involves countries also. Only my way of life is good, and only we can provide everything for them too, all the way to senses, how people
yeah,
are really uneducated about the senses, and also how people are using the sense addictions and all that, right? These two
right.
were not there in the ancients. They said oneness, not individualness. And the other thing is not outside things, but inward joy. So
Yeah,
not dependent on the sensory pleasures and all that, but in the being, in the wellness, in the inside, really oneness of all. So that's the
right.
perspective I come from, is what was happening that was there, and the science comes and says everything is outward. No, inner sciences were developed by the ancients. Look at them. They are valuable treasures for the humanity, not one country,
Right.
all over.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And I think like there's nothing new under the sun
yeah,
in the world of thought, in the world of consciousness. It is the same. It has always been the same, and it always will be the same. Consciousness is consciousness.
yeah,
But in this particular expression of consciousness, this physical world that we live in, that has its own set of rules, and these bodies that we live in, engage in unhealthy appetites.
Yeah.
And they'll never be satiated. Yeah. So instead of going in, they, like we first talked about, they're going out, and they keep going out thinking that's the answer. And they are more than welcomed by the capitalists of the world, and by the folks that are always trying to sell them the next thing.
Even the word thought, Peter, it is supposed to be meaning in some language or something they brought out, that is outside.
Yeah.
Thought is outside, is an object. But then everything is built around the thought structure, is really making people miss the real essence of themselves.
Right.
That is where I say I'm blissful, because I may talk with pain because I see suffering all the time, So maybe 10 people call me with the different things. Everything is centered around this. They are so steeped in that thinking patterns, they're not able to get out of it. That's the biggest addiction to thought.
Yeah.
Think about that.
But I want people that are listening to this not to think, right, that thought is a bad thing. It is not. It's simply what it is. It is a tool.
You are misusing it. That's all.
To use us.
Yeah, thought is a wonderful force.
Use it.
Yeah, thought is a wonderful force we have. It's not thought's problem. It's how we use it.
Yes, that's what I just said. Yeah, it's a tool.
Yeah.
To get through this physical world that we're in.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it's useful. So I'll give you a quick example. Like one of my rituals is 3 times a day, but really every night. What I'll do is I'll take my cell phone.
Yeah.
I'll put it down on the table in front of me, or my nightstand. I'm actually doing it right now. I'm folding my right hand over my left hand over my diaphragm.
Yeah.
And I'll say, thank you for serving me today.
Good.
Thank you for being the connection point for many souls, or my family, or those who I love.
That is
Thank
true.
you.
That's true, because it's connecting around the world. It's connecting around.
Thank you for allowing me to make a living using you. You're a great tool. I honor you and I thank you.
That's a very good practice. Very good practice.
I can't use you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right now, it's not the time to use you. So I recently just came on with a company in the greater Richmond area, and they brought me on to do business and personal development coaching. And it's a high stress industry. And a lot of our folks are just stressed out. So they're on their phones or tablets all day.
Yeah.
And, when they get home, they just want to disconnect. But the way they disconnect is they just scroll their phones. And I try to let them know that the very thing that you're looking at that stresses you out during the day, you're getting distracted by at night, and you think that it's entertaining. You think that it's taking you away or into peace. But actually, your subconscious is still, and your nervous system is still hardwired, because you're holding that same device that represents so much stress in your life.
That is the wiring. That's the wiring is the problem, and people are not aware of it, and they're allowing themselves before they realize they can't get out of it. So I try to unwire them. I try to show them the neuroplasticity of it and replacing with the positivity and all. But you know what? Simple technique that people could use it. Just don't wake them up quickly right after you get up, and take some 10-15 minutes before you go to sleep. Put them to sleep first. And then sleep, and then don't wake them up right after you wake up. And first establish yourself in your presence, and then open it up and use it as a tool, not as an authority. See, all the children I'm saying, they are so addicted to the phone, they can't live. They will scream if you take them out from them.
That's true. Yeah. And it's so sad, but it's so very true.
We are not paying attention to that as much as we should do, because as physicians, we see reports of, there was a smartphone users, teenagers on the Instagram. This was published, I think, around 2018 or so. 2014 to 2018, they studied Instagram users, mainly the teenagers, young girls. The suicide rate in that group went up to 189%, and then they published that data.
My goodness.
So how serious it is? Yeah. Even now, I follow with the Congress what they are inquiring to the social media group. That social dilemma that came I think a few years ago. The documentary on Netflix, you see that, then you see what social media is doing. And there were interviews of all these heads of like Facebook and Google. All these people came, right? And they were
Yeah.
questioning them. They were questioning, the blood is on your hands. That is really true. They are not
Yeah.
doing as much restriction as they should do. The reporter who came on the public channel, she was talking about how they are bypassing it and how they are still allowing this Facebook. They allow so much
Yeah.
of porn material and also so much material on encouraging people to commit suicide.
It's insane.
Yeah, they
It's
showed
insane.
those. I see those because I'm interested in the social issues, so I follow the congressional investigation of this. And then when I saw them, really, you can see how they don't want to care, but they want to care about the money, especially Facebook. They
Right.
pointed this out. Anyway, so
Yeah. So yeah, I have a friend that I don't work with, adolescents or young folks, but I have a very dear friend that does, and he said just the rates of, and he's actually a clinician. He said the rates of, what you're talking about, the addiction to the phone, just the phone and social media addiction are through the roof.
yeah,
But pornography addiction at such a young age
yeah,
is really, really prevalent. And so it's, it really, really is sad.
yeah.
But the good news of it is, like, there's more and more awareness of it. Not everybody's hooked on it. These cell phones are here to stay, so it's a matter of managing
Yeah, it's a
your
matter of.
usage, and that's it. Like, it's a
That's it.
fact. The cell phone is a fact of life,
But it
and it's
starts
just
with
it.
awareness of many people, and then
Yeah,
once many people know about it, then they will question that. Even the congressional investigations are happening because many people are questioning that, worried
right.
about it. Yeah, but
Yeah,
it's a real tragedy to expose kids to that kind of material when they don't know how to deal with it, and
right.
it can lead to real psychological problems down the line. I can talk a lot about that, but that's a
Yeah,
different subject completely. Sensuality, how the yoga, Ayurveda, and Advaita Veda, all these people talked about how to really understand the sexual impulse, not to
right.
yield to it too much or
Yeah,
not to suppress it, is the way to be healthy.
right. And to transmute it too. I mean,
Yeah.
that's like, that's
No, that is
it's
the
one of the
people
strongest.
who are investigators like you who want to know the truth. You can
Yeah,
transmute their energy. But I'm talking about general public, general, thinking that is natural to have those impulses, to have those desires and all that. But then, if
right.
you don't teach them anything about it, just expose the stimulus like that, and then abusing kids in that videos and all that, that is
Yeah.
major, major trauma for them.
Dr. Rao, namaste.
Namaste.
I always appreciate you,
Yeah.
and this conversation is going to be continued.
Yeah,
And
sure. Thanks for coming up, Peter. I kind of put the time at 30 minutes. I said, whoever wants to
yeah,
come
no,
talk to
thank
me.
you so much. Thank you so much.
I
So I
didn't.
still believe in this certainty of the goodness of the future,
Yeah.
and we're just going to continue to make it
No, I
happen.
have been here from the
Bigger and
beginning.
better.
I have seen so
Yes.
much, and then I don't get much traction about things, and then I come and talk because that pleases me. I'm just doing it for myself so that I can communicate. That's all. But what I'm saying is, I would see more awareness. I would see more exploration rather than repeating what they think about. So there is no real exploring nature that I want to say. Using like a group thinking, we will all help each other. What about your own self going in, your own investigations into yourself,
That
your own? That's what
that
I'm pointing it
that
out.
solves.
Yeah.
Yeah, that solves the whole issue, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. The truth is, I cannot take you inward into you. I can say, okay, that's the way, throw some light, how to go and all that. But you have to walk.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, even if I'm not coming here, I don't do any of these talks. I am my joyful self. That is the blessing I have. But the thing is,
Yes.
I also respond to the suffering I see every day.
Of course.
That's why I
Of
come
course.
and talk about these things.
And I love it. Don't ever stop. I won't let you.
Yeah. No, I won't. I won't. Yeah. Thanks for coming up,
Okay.
Peter. I enjoy you
Thank
all
you.
the time. Okay. Thank you.
Namaste. Thank
Okay.
you.
Namaste. Bye. Yeah, Peter is a good soul, and he's on his truth finding machine himself. So he he knows what I'm talking about. It's not like-mindedness. It's kind of the path you are on. You know, so uh, it's kind of expressing ourselves so that we're all one, right? Oneness is there, and when you're in oneness, you want to speak to our people and everybody. You know, there's a I don't target anybody, but I target everybody. Right? That's it. Okay, thank you. And anybody else wants to come, I'll keep open for a few more minutes. Otherwise, I will close the room, and I'll see you again. Basically, think about anything, explore by yourself. That's the message of that, you know. And once you are exploring your own self rather than accepting whatever comes to your mind, you will go much deeper, and that itself reveals you a lot of truth. That's what the scientists do too. They don't accept this is it and I'm not going to explore. If we do that, there is no discovery of any sort. Whereas moderns have more of outward scientific research on objects, ancients had subjective sciences, and not to explore them is a tragedy, especially now with all the modern problems. They could be a solution. At least for me, they were. And they don't need any appreciation, any approval from us. But we need that wisdom. That's my way of looking at things, and I benefited immensely because of that attitude. And didn't say, "Oh, I'm a medically trained people." They said, "No, it was actually insufficient. All the medical knowledge, all these things, they're insufficient to treat the patient." Then I had to introduce these measures from yoga, from Ayurveda, from all that. I had no intention of propaganda or anything like that. I have only intention of using it for the benefit of my patient. That I did, and for myself, I did it too. I recovered from a stroke from 2000, in 2014, not just because of the modern medicine, it did not do much, but because what I did with micro yoga, being in the present, and deep breathing. These were my practices even before. But we had abnormal blood vessels, so people can have it. I have a pontine stroke, right? It happened in the palms. That affects your balance, that affects your speech and all that. And I had left-sided complete paralysis. But I came out of it not accepting only medicine, whatever the doctors do. No, even I train my patients also. Don't say we are everything. Take our opinion and go and investigate. And they said, "Oh, you are the doctor. You should tell us everything." Yeah, I will tell you, but we also have this trend of training patients to take uh, responsibility for their health and also learn and unlearn some of the things that you have learned in the past, all that, And they appreciated it because they were not going to the emergency room that much. They were not getting admitted that much when they are understanding what is happening with their disease, what is being given, how is supposed to help, how they can study the science that will tell them their disease is getting worse. All this is we call patient education, patient experiential knowledge, and all that. And when they participated actively, it was easy for them to change the diet, to exercise, to sleep well, and reduce the medications and eat naturally and all that. So that is all going out of whack. And so many people are there to influence you to go other way. Eat in McDonald's, eat large meals, eat all the time, snack all the time, consume all these stupid drinks that they are putting it out as energy drinks and all this really tragedy. In these modern times, we are allowing the propaganda to spoil our wellness, our health, right? That's why I kind of took my own stand and took care of myself because I'm a physician. The fortunate thing for me is I'm a modern medical doctor, but also I know the ancient healing system, not as a belief systems, as a knowledge, and then applying both of them together by fusing them. What is good in both of them, right? That helped me immensely. Then I called that's the second chance. What should I do in the second chance? I should share the healing measures, the healing. First of all, take responsibility for your wellness. Nobody else, just you. And then say, I'm going to watch what are the healthy things to do and do them. Okay, so I think this app encourages people to do that. That's very good. But then they stop at the physical level, go deeper into your real inner self. Human beings are not just the body and mind, they are what they're made of inside, not by your thinking and your conclusions, your degrees, intellectual. That's very limited. But beyond that, that means you are not just the body, you are not just the mind, you are that witness consciousness that is really stimulating your body and mind to be working for you. Okay, you can make it better just by taking that attitude. But if you identify with your body, like say, oh, I'm fat, I'm obese, then you are stunted. Suppose you say, oh, I don't think properly, I'm an anxious person, then you are staying in your mind. You cannot really operate on that. Right? But if you identify yourself as being that life force, you can call it so many things. You can call it a love, you can call it a God, you can call it soul, you can call it energy, any number of things, consciousness, and all that. Okay, but essential thing is there is cell, there is something of a spark came in, those two cells formed the life force, and life force is there all the time till we leave it. And when the life force leaves, this body and mind are inert. They have to be destroyed, right? Otherwise, they become problem for other people too. You either burn it or you bury it or whatever, right? So you don't hold on to this body and mind. So don't be victim of that, and then release yourself from that attachment and be your real self. That is the inner struggle. That is where you go and see what am I thinking, what are the thoughts that are coming, what are the emotions that are going on, what are the reactions to so many things, and then you will be victim of your own nervous mechanism. Otherwise, you will take everything inward, and those reactions produce stress hormones, and that is destroying your health. Why do you have to react to everything in the daytime? How much of sympathetic overtone you develop, which leads to high blood pressure, high cholesterol, high blood sugar, all that, right? So you want to nullify it just by simple thing. Deep breathe, not just few minutes, as much as possible through the day. Start with the morning, regular 15 minutes, and then every 1 hour, 1 minute. Deep breathe so much you can bring yourself back to the presence. You can really help yourself vacate all the toxins in the body, right? From the mind too. If you do that 1 minute or 2 minutes like that, it will help you a lot. And also at the end of the day, as part of your unwinding, deep breathe again for 10, 15 minutes. If you can do just this with real commitment, with a real involvement, with a real dedication, you will improve your health a lot because you are cutting down on the sympathetic zone, which is fight or flight syndrome, imagining all sorts of dangers that are there. And that will help you to clean your system better and to develop this inner resilience. That is actually there. You see, I'm 70-year-old. I have a lot of resilience because I don't get sick at all. From 2014, I did not even take one pill of any sort because I didn't need it, not even Tylenol, right? I'm not saying you should take up all your medication. That's not what Peter rightly warned about that. That's true. Here, it's about what is happening inside us, getting familiar with it, not being like a introvert, no, but really paying attention to our inner self. Is called self-knowledge, knowledge of what is happening within us, in our heart, in our mind, in our thinking, in our beliefs and all that. You examine all of them. Don't take them for granted, right? Otherwise, neuroplastic wise, what is happening is they are forming high roads in your mind and they're concretized and they come back to haunt you later. See, I just did an article on the how to really encounter the information overload. How get up in the morning, don't allow your thoughts to rush and take over you. Just be aware. of what you are and where you are and what is the life around. Be relating to that. Then throughout the day, just be attentive. Don't think, just be attentive. Pay attention to whatever you are doing all day. Okay. And then in the evening, suppose you regained some reactions, you felt angry, you felt happy, or whatever, vacate them and go to sleep. If you do these three, then you can protect yourselves from the information overload. That is the essence of why I was talking about. Aware in the morning, attentive during the day, vacate in the evening. These three words you can remember: aware, attention, and vacation. I take a vacation every night in the evening because I brush it off. I don't cling to them. That's what yoga taught me. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Peter, for coming and contributing significantly. Peter always makes me very happy. Okay, so even if one person comes up like that and talking to me, I'm happy, But even if he doesn't, I will not stop it. The only thing is, I see so much of suffering. If people who are responsible for this app understand the wisdom of what I'm talking about, not me, the wisdom, and then they should give it the right proper elevation, and that wisdom may touch some people and they left better. I don't need anything from anybody. Okay, but I will come, I will talk about it unless they keep me out. Okay, I don't think they'll do. They have been they pay attention, they pay a lot of praise sometimes, but that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for how can this wisdom help other people. That's all. Thank you, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.
Couldn't it fly? No. One of the people who played for the he played for let's say the thing was